just like that, we are live for another, most likely, beautiful race here. Anyone who is watching, as per usual, let us know if I've got to fix any volumes, anything like that. But for now, the time being, we should have everything we need as we're on board with Dimitri. Set some interesting lap time. Let's see what happens. Did I get this correct? Maybe not. Interesting. A lot of settings on this here. So just trying to remember what I set everything to. Let's see, best laps up. There we go. Best laps are now up. We got some sector times going. You can see a little bit of everything. Some of it'll come and go as we head on through the broadcast. But a strong wind going to make things interesting here in the early laps of Fuji as we bounce in and out through our driver cams. Take a look at what some of these guys have going on. It's been a while since I've done a live broadcast, especially for a non-endurance race. It'd be nice to do a relatively short one, as Icing seems to be just getting his gearing on. So we'll head over to Potato, who I know is trying to fend off the rack. So it's been a tight battle between them this season. I'm very curious to see where things go. For those of you who haven't been paying attention, and I say that as someone who has not been paying attention himself, as I lose a little bit of functionality here, ignore the choppiness, it'll fix itself momentarily. There you go. As I'm just trying to get these season standings open. But this season we're doing something a little bit different. We do have our own calculated ranking system based off the classes. We got a whole website now. Potato, actually the racer that we're watching, has really knocked it out of the park, as you can see from his current pit lane status. Actually, he doesn't want us to watch him, so we'll head over to Dimitri again. But anyways, using that handy-dandy structure, you can see we've got quite a few leaders out listed down at the bottom of your screen. So in the top class, which is very hard to get into, I say that as someone who's been in it for only a couple of races and is still working his way back from a single rage win, probably about 10 to 11 races ago, and knocked me out of that class. We've got Dimitri leading the pack, followed by Potato, the Raxo, Yossarian, and company have all not really been around for every single race of the season, so it's a little hard to include them in the fight. But thankfully, all of the top three racers have been fighting pretty consistently there, so it's always good to see a little bit of competition. Dimitri starting to walk away a little bit here with a 10-point lead. Very hard to overcome. You're really kind of wishing for misfortune at that point. And there's only 2 races left in the season, and you know these guys are finishing 1, 2, 3. We are going to be using drone cam today just for practice. I'm kind of taking things easy, getting the stream dial back in. But as we head over to our B class standings, I see Jeritus with 411 leading a tide between Tater and Lukey Dude. Hassan, the only other one who seems to have been in attendance for all the races. And honestly, I'm looking at the rest of the grid here, and everything is up for grabs. There's really not a lot of guys who have been in every single race. I think we're going to see some interesting battles at the end in some of these other classes because they just have so many drops. 0 to Hero, Spiker Guy only separated by 1 point in rookie class, both of them having only attended about a third of the amount of events as all these other guys. I say events because some of them are 2 races, some of them are, 3. Just depends on what they got going on. So it's going to be an interesting one. And as far as who shows up, that will determine much of what we have going on here. Dimitri with a quick sector 1 right away. That is something else to start the times. You know what I did last time? I gave myself a little cheat sheet, so maybe I'll do that this time as well. I can't remember all these keybinds. Oh man, sorry. Bad heart. I'm just gonna do that real quick, don't mind me. And then do a little bit of U. Yep. And then we'll do a little bit of U. I don't even know if that one's working. And a little bit of U. Alright, you guys can see the nitty gritty behind the scenes there. The fun part is I can never ever remember where to get saved to. I do this every time. Did I get pictures? Screenshots. That's why would I save in screenshots? That make too much sense. They just show up in like most recent. Every time, boys. Every time. Alright, while I do that, let's take a look at some of the best laps. That one I at least know the timing for. So Dimitri sitting comfortably about a second ahead of Potato. Haven't seen the Raxo hop in yet, so still a lot of opportunity for those guys to figure out what they need to do and figure out where they're trying to go. I'm clicking a lot of buttons looking for these screenshots. What? Those ones? What? You're all listening to me lose my mind in real time. It's okay. It's that. That's what friendship is all about. It's fine. Whatever. We'll do it live. Speaking of do it live, let's get that drone cam back up. Maybe get a little comfortable here. Let's see from the follow cam just how the boys are looking out on Fuji today. So we are in the overcast section of the race right now. Practice always follows as such. These guys are used to that, and it's going to get clearer. The track's going to get warmer as we get closer to race time. So that's one thing all of our racers are accustomed to. A lot of R's. As we see Dimitri making these awkward lines look easy. It's not an easy track to come up against, so he definitely speaks volumes to the battle that he's got at hand here as he swings his way by Rizza and works his way into, it's not going to be his fastest lap, but still keeping it below a 39. Let's jump over to Potato now in the Porsche, keeping a competitive pace, but it's going to be all about getting through turn one ahead of that Mercedes and then defending from there. Those two definitely have some good battles together, but it is going to be one that is Dimitri's to lose. Potato on an absolute heater. Can he get into it? Does not hit the 38. Creeps within that 1 second margin now. Only 0.8 of a second, or sorry, 0.8 away from Dimitri's time as he goes a little wide there in the first turn. We'll take a look at some of the racers that I haven't recognized here on the grid, but seem to be up for the challenge. Microsoft Store is working their way across the chicane now in the Team Money Shift BMW livery. We're a little questioning on the manufacturers currently. We do have quite a nice spread. We've got a good representation of the Audis, the Ferraris, the Porsches. One Z4 currently, and two Mercedes. Oh, never mind, two Z4s and two Mercedes. So, and a good spread throughout the manufacturers available, with the exception of the handy dandy Lamborghini. Wow, it sounds like he needs to get on the pace. Let's see if we can get to the next 10 on the leaderboard. We're gonna have to close off our driver's can so we can see that, but now you'll get a good sense of everybody who has hit the track. Looks like we're still waiting for a couple of top times there, but I do see the Raxo has joined us. Is that gonna be him right there? It is. Raxo in that sleek looking Audi. I don't think I've seen it before. The Cagerman Racing number 24 looks phenomenal. It's got a little Fernando Alonso on it, the Rolex. This is definitely a great livery created by, I'm assuming, Caterman. And the Raxo is really making it look quick all over the back of that Z4 here. We got 30 minutes left to practice, so these guys have plenty of time to work on some awkward lines through traffic, figure out their pace, go where they need to. So far in the offline practice, the Raxo only got up to a 141, so still a couple of seconds to shave off in this Audi. But knowing them, I expect we'll see that in the next 15 minutes or so. Oop, with a little bit of a struggle through nets. This part right here is definitely tough on those GTRs. It's got a lot of interesting elevation change, some awkward, almost double apexes. But once you can get the hang of it and stick with a quick line through into the straightaway, it's tons and tons of time shaved. And I'd be willing to bet that's where our leaders are standing out at the moment. So we'll see as the Raxo heads into his first lap. This is going to be a nice, clean one that we'll stay on board with. I believe that is going to be, I was going to say Dimitri up front, but that makes me think otherwise. I think it's actually going to be Rizza as the Raxo comes around through Coca-Cola corner with a pretty decent sector 1, a 23.03. He's got about half a second to shave off to Dimitri in that first sector, but we'll see if maybe that Audi comes alive here in sector 2. Now it's definitely making up a little bit of room here. You can see that quick pace. He's able to take those corners a little bit tighter. This is a big one. These Z4s are able to really throw that car around the edge here. But that chicane actually really throws things off. I don't know that I've done this layout with that chicane in it. Appreciate that everybody's suffering through it. I will be suffering through it later tonight in the NA race. Not sure whether or not we'll be able to get a broadcast together for that, but watch me spin out in the Z4 all you want. The Raxo now heading down the start finish straight. So this is going to be a good sense of pace. It's not going to be his best time, but we'll at least know how competitive they can get within one lap or two here. And it's right into the 40s, so that's actually going to be a personal best, I believe, already. And that's one hell of a way to start. Let's jump back over to Potato, currently out in the course, starting a fresh lap, so we'll see if they're able to make something happen here. See the red flow of those brakes. Potato on a mission, I think out now. Might be a track limits, yep, the way that it's going, cooling down now. Check in with Dimitri, didn't have a great sector 1, but maybe he can make something come alive in sector 2. And that's actually a nice little pass into Delmont. I mean, that's the kind of stuff they're gonna need to work on now. Because, I mean, it's only a 20-minute race, but with how awkward these corners are and how short of a lap it kind of is, I anticipate they're going to come up on 1 or 2 cars in the back end. We'll see what happens. Good job. Grid does seem to be settled in now as we've got 14 racers out there. One of them, I believe, is the RRR automated camera. So don't know if we'll be seeing that one head out to the track anytime soon. Not the same. 14, not a bad showing, but there's still 20 minutes left to practice and a whole qualifying session left to go. We've been watching these killer laps for a little bit of time now. Let's head over to Heising, working their way in the Audi, clinging into the top 10 and looking to chase down Laces in front. Laces currently in the C-Class license pack, and I'm looking for Heising. That's why I can't find them, I can't spell. And this might be Heising's first GT3 race. So this will be, oh no, there it is. Heising currently in the D license class. But based on that pace, that might just be because of the This might be because they haven't been in too many races yet. One thing that's nice about a track like this is when you get these wide corners, you can actually really see the gaps out to some of these other racers. So we'll be able to track with the leaders up here and see a good chunk of the lay of the land behind. See what these guys are fighting for, as Heisling currently getting chased down by Rizza. A little friendly practice lap battle. I kind of like it, you know? I like that little bit of pressure you get when you get chased down by some of these guys. As we see, I think it's a shark, this one, isn't it? Yeah, it's like maybe like a some shark adjacent, I don't know, miniature ray with teeth. Mercedes-Benz trying to replicate that pace now from Dimitri. And this is the tough thing when it comes down to a 45-minute practice. These laps are only 1 minute and 38 seconds long. You really don't want to be wasting too much time and effort. You don't want to fall into the patterns too quickly, but you need to use this as an opportunity to see where you can get by, to see where you have more control, alternate lines. You need to use the practice as a practice. And some of these guys are doing a pretty good job of that. As you can see, some of these top class or top time racers trying to stick together in a pack just to get a sense of what it's like to drive around with a grid. So see Geratus here trying to get his way through the Ferrari. See if they can make something happen. So we have a couple of guys who are yet to leave the pits, left us on a lap, so that'll be some developments to come. Ooh, it's a neat little 9 into Dunlop corner. Those GTRs are not easy to handle. But man, they do have some beautiful built-in liquids, I will say. A lot of love for the GTR. Earlier today, on with Majerus is heading through Panasonic corner, so not going to be a clean lap right there, but this I think is going to be lining himself up for a good one. It all comes down to following Potato's pace in front. Usually when these guys have a faster car in front, they unlock just a little bit more time, so we'll see if they can make that happen here. Just getting through the straightaway, so we'll get into the 40s, does get into the 40s, so that's going to be pretty solid. And I'm only 0.3 away from Potatoes, so clinging on will be nice. Now the only issue they got is leaflet glasses in front. There's about 4 seconds behind. So that big difference in pace could be an issue depending on where that time difference comes in. Hopefully it's just a little bit of off-track incidents or something like that. Not a real difference in flow. But Potato does seem to be going a little bit slower, looking for a way by, as Laces will go off. And I think that will negate his clean lap. He's actually still hanging off with the drafter, so maybe got away with it. Oh, is that going to be tight? Yep, and a little bit too tight as that GTR goes flying into the back of the R8. That's what practice is for. And speaking of practice, there goes Potato, your second place car, as the Raxo gets a nice little view in front. So the Raxo's found his way into the 39s as well. Seems like they'll be having quite the battle. There are 2 races left, so it's possible some of these guys do get shifted up classes into A or C to B, blah, blah, blah. So nothing is set in stone as to who you're competing with. You need to treat every person on the track like your overall competitor, because you can end up in their class. As I think we're going to see a big shift in the NA group. There's about 5 racers in position to move up with just one solid race, and between GT3 and the MX5 events, there's, I want to say, 4 races left where that could change. So hammering down the straightaway. wasn't able to get as clean of a time as I'm sure they wanted last go around. Let's fit with these guys in the 143s and up though. I know they're capable of getting into the 41s, at least giving Lukey a little bit of competition. So we'll see if they can unlock a little bit more pace here. Are they all on? There's a fair amount of mediums on the grid. Then again, it is practice. You don't want to necessarily show your hand right away. So that much I understand. I was going to say let's take a look at 0 to hero, but they seem to be off on the side at the moment. We've got Dimitri looking for a way around through 100R, and he finds one at a bit of a cost, but still finds one. That's kind of what's most important. As Zero is having a little bit of a struggle there, may have lost some of the tires, which obviously is going to make things a little bit tougher. Jump over maybe to 0. Still hasn't gotten moving, so maybe Lukey Dude in the Ferrari can show us how things are done. As get through Dunlop corner with a little bit of awkwardness, but we'll take it. Serving a little bit of dead air there. I'm also working on a couple of things around the house, as one does during the stream. Trying to just get through that post-Christmas chaos, as I'm sure many of you are. And I obviously wasn't expecting the biggest grid that we've had today. Because of that, I know holidays are a tough time for everybody to kind of get in and make the race. So that's why I wanted to reward those who found that time with a little bit of a live broadcast. Good. Well, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. So you can see the gaps to Dimitri's time up top. Dimitri seems to have shaved off a little bit more time, so putting Potato back outside of that window. Hassan flying up there in Z4, joining that top 5 split, where outside of Dimitri, they're all within half a second of each other, really within 4/10 of each other. So if anybody can start sharing that secret to that final second of pace, Dimitri's going to have some problems with quite a busy grid. We then have 0 to hero, to Zeros, and Lukey Dude all within another 4/10 segment. So a couple of battles that I think we'll see shaken out. Now this is still practice, still 15 minutes left, but we are at the point where they've done quite a few laps, so I think we can start to get a sense of just how old they've been out here. Say, yeah, it looks like they've done about 12 laps so far in their practice session, or at least since joining this one. So I feel like we're getting good senses of where everybody's pace is at. The Raxo 0 to hero still have some surprise for us, especially 0. Has not really shown us a full couple laps of what they're capable of yet. But it does look like they're finally back onto the grid and moving, so we can get a little peek for ourselves. 0 heading into the start-finish straight for what looks to be the end of an out lap. I hope they're hammering down to try and make up some time here. We'll see what happens. As they do manage to get through the Daiichi. But you know what I think I remember what I was doing. Oh, look at that. We got comparisons up. So, like that. got it. Uh-oh. I think I've done an issue here. Yep, I think I've created an issue. It's fine. Maybe it'll go away at some point. We'll just compare everybody to Dimitri. This is the one that I wanted to try and compare everybody to. So maybe if I can do that. Oh boy, I seem to have bungled this one, fellas. Alright, I'm gonna actually have to look at the thing here, see what I set that one up to. Holding in the button. So, yeah, I get that. How do I get rid? Oh, okay, they just gotta finish the lap. Alright, well, thank you, Zero, for finishing the lap. That makes things much easier for us. But hey, yeah, we're learning. Wow. That is some pace in. He had to navigate around somebody in the process. You see the Raxo trying to stay out of the way the best they can. This is going to be tough. Ooh, as the Raxo ends up getting a little bit in the way. Dimitri losing 7/10 between the two avoidances in that sector. Jesus, that was a 22.3 for that sector 1. That's putting him about 4/10 ahead of everybody else in just that one starting stretch. Absolutely outrageous pace from the man in the merc. Is this delta accurate? It'd be kind of funny. It was. Wow. Okay. So we do actually get like a nice little pace of where they're moving up and down on their time there, but it doesn't show me kind of what I was expecting to. So we're gonna extend that one for now. Leave a little bit of that, and we should be good to go. 10 minutes, 34 seconds remaining of practice. We've been jumping around with a few different racers, trying to see who can get times and who can't. Zepras has yet to surprise us with a firm one since the open practice has begun. I don't know if they were able to set it, or it doesn't look like they set any in the private practice either, so this will be a fresh one here. 2 green sectors to start. Looks a little awkward on that Ferrari, but that's a tight line through nets. It's going to be hard to pull out of that, but they do manage to get back straight and keep moving. Another interesting line going deep into Panasonico with that Ferrari. That's going to give him plenty of run into start-finish straight. Let's see how that works out. So this lap, I don't think going to be the best one. Hopefully it was at least kept clean so we'll be able to watch this one all the way through. As Zepras comes through with a 1:47, and it is a clean lap. So we're on board. They'll be one of the 14 members of our starting grid. Oh, and it looks like they were using everything in the tank for that one, perhaps. As they take it very deep through the line. Philip going to try and show him how it's done in the red Ferrari up front. As he goes hammering in through the Coca-Cola corner. Hold on. Where's the Coca-Cola of this corner? Am I losing it? How do you have a corner named after? Alright, I'm being picky. As we jump on with the Raxo. The Raxo staying within that top 5 hasn't managed to creep any closer to Potato, who's his main rival here. Hassan looking to stay ahead of Pajeritis. That could be huge, especially if the Raxo is able to split the difference between those two. And hey, if Hassan can shave another 4/10 off, get closer to Potato, that might be an interesting battle as well. Right now, it looks like Potato has at least gotten within a second of Dimitri, so that's pretty promising. And we do see a couple other guys there. So we've reached the point where everybody is an incident or two away from some friendly competition. Obviously, we got a couple guys in the back who are working their way through their comfort zones, but that doesn't mean they won't find things and put put it all together before our qualifying stuff goes around. And just as I say that, 0 to hero with a fastest sector 2. 34.3. So that, I'm assuming that means it was a clean one, which is absolutely incredible. But you can see that sector 1 is part of an outlap, so it's not going to be anything that we really get to watch. As the racks are coming down, hoping to have found a little bit of time here at the end of this quick lap. It looks pretty good through sector 1. And here we go across the finish line for a 2/10 gain. Puts him right in between Vajeritas and Asan. Asan couldn't have asked for anything better. The Raxo going to be looking to shave off another 10th or 2 on their next run. Taking one in just to admire the work, appreciate what they've done as they let that one go by. And we'll join in with Microsoft Store and Coca-Cola Corner as they head through the Goodyear sign for Team Money Shift. Something awfully appropriate about that. But that Money Shift car looking great as it works its way through the hairpin. The C4 does have a lot of potential on this track, as you can see with the San currently in a 139.6. So I'm hoping to see a little bit more from Microsoft Store, just maybe get that final half second out of the way here and get over to Lukey Dude, but a couple of misshifts like that are not going to help as we swing through Dunlop Corner without the confidence you need to rip these GT3s around. We'll get close so you can see kind of what I'm talking about. I want you guys to focus on the sound through turn 1. And I mean, this Money Shifts team livery looking great as it heads down the straightaway. We'll head into the trunk real quick. Swap on over to try and get a nice view of that corner. Silent. Now we head over to the other Z4 on the track, Asan. And I want you to hear just what we've got going now. Tire squeal, which I thought we'd hear a little bit of, but you can hear the difference in the power of the engine and just how hard these cars are pushing. So kind of showed you what I was talking about, not in the way that I thought it was gonna. So I'm gonna say overall it's a win. But we'll join on with Asan, because I don't think we've seen Asan do a clean lap from start to finish. Actually, speaking of that, Asan does have another minute until they get around. So why don't we join in with Potato here, see what they currently have going on. So 13 degrees on the air temperature currently. Track temperature 18. So that's not terrible. It's actually kind of in a little sweet spot for these guys. They might be some of the faster laps that we see, but that early part of qualifying before the weather gets too warm, I think is where we're going to see the fast laps go down from Dimitri and Co. Continue to follow them around as they get closer and closer to game time. 3 minutes and 25 seconds remain until qualifying. We see a lot of racers in the pits now, just mentally preparing themselves, getting ready to do whatever they need to try and set a final message, which is all these laps really are at this point. As you see that Porsche struggle a little bit heading into turn 1, so no improvement there from Potato, but now we will get our hot lap with the BMW, courtesy of Hassan, as they come flying into one down that start-finish straight. So let's see what they've got, as you can hear that thing topping out through Daichi. A beautiful entry there, and a lot of momentum carried through. That's the Z4 that I know and love. That line through Coca-Cola corner, just on edge, hugging the curb, making sure to keep it right at the edge of those limits. Just cut down every inch you can, and as I say that, Dimitri goes purple. Another 22.3 for Dimitri. Could be the start of another crazy lap. We'll see what comes up. Dimitri is actually right behind Hassan. That's a lot of pressure when you got the guy up front chasing you down. He's got a little bit of pace behind him. Head through nets. Dimitri has seen improvement. Hassan not seeing it. In just a moment here, you'll see that Mercedes come around the bend. I don't know which one is going to come out on top of a solid sector 3. It looks like Hassan has a little bit of trouble getting into that start-finish straight. I think that's going to wash out their chance of improvement on this lap. If they do cross the line with enough time to go for one more, should they choose. Jump on back in a second here to Dimitri. As Hassan goes by a 10th off of his own time. Dimitri going by 4 tenths off of his. Still a 1:38.8, which I believe would still be fastest lap out of all the other cars. Just phenomenal pace out of Dimitri there. In this Mercedes, I am very much in awe. Where is not for that? There you go. That's what I'm looking for. We're looking for the Delta. As you can see, that throttle and braking points for Dimitri in your bottom right-hand corner of the screen. It's just a lot of confidence. Look at the absolutes in the braking, in the throttle. Not a lot of light movements. It's very much on or off where it counts. With the exception of a feather in on these awkward corners, man. But making light work of nets. I don't think he's going to get a hot lap on this one either, and we are in overtime, so we might as well just watch the man bring us to the end. Taking a look at the trap map, I don't see too many people who are on clean ones, so we'll let him finish it off. Potatoes shouting out that the Porsche is a tricky beast, which they are not wrong, as you see what I imagine to be the evidence of donuts from the Raxo, probably having a little bit of a struggle of a lap there. As we take a look at what is one hell of a beautiful day. I'm assuming there is a visible Mount Fuji when it's not super foggy, but we'll see. Or is that the wrong Fiji? Oh, I might be. This is Fuji, isn't it? I've been saying Fiji and it's Fuji. Or is it? I don't know. No, I don't know. I always get them mixed up. No, it is Fuji, so it is in Japan. But I've been saying Fiji. Okay. Still me. So, for those unfamiliar with our races, we are now in the overtime portion of the session. So it just lets everybody finish up a couple laps. It gives them, I want to say, about 1.5 times the fastest lap time. So that's what you get. Looking at what Dimitri ended up putting down, I think that's going to give him a comfy 3 minutes, or just shy of a comfy 3 minutes. And then we'll get into the wait period here. So that will be very nice to see. I'm thinking qualifying is going to be pretty interesting here because they're all going to have to recreate those hot laps. They had 45 minutes to get those times that we saw, and they were great. They were all very close together. But now they're only going to have a 15-minute period. They're going to have to find a nice, clean stretch of track to do it. It's in these situations, it would almost be in their best interest to go out in single file order, according to practice times. But it's racing. That's not how it works. You got to find your opportunity, and if it's not there, you make it. We'll see in just a moment here, as I believe the overtime is coming to a close. Everybody is now in the pits. We'll see who heads out first in just a second. Best part about these real rookie races, in my opinion, is that nothing is ever a sure thing. You never know who's going to have some misfortune, what could go wrong with the back marker, where someone's going to have one bad corner that they didn't miss all of practice or qualifying. And that's where these events really get interesting. You get to see who can come back from that versus who gets to take advantage of those situations. So we'll see who makes the most in just a minute and who gets to be first out on a fresh track, as it looks like they actually might have beaten me out, and I think that's going to be Dimitri who leads us out for the first clean one, as it starts to get a little bit easier to see. That light fog has lifted and they are able to just head into the race itself. As I open up the pack of doors. So right now qualifying going to be 15 minutes. We're taking a quick look at the weather for you. Air temp has gone up to 15 degrees, and I believe that'll put the track temp at 20. Yep. So did not get the favor of the lower variation on this wrap. On this one around. But we'll see what they can come up with. Little CMRT advertisement in the top corner. I will say I've always been a big fan of broadcast app. This really has been a game changer. For those unfamiliar, we get a little bit of dash view. We can kind of jump through the widgets. I'm obviously still getting the hang of it, but it's really coming together well as we head into the first hot lap to be put down by our current lead racer. We'll see what Dimitri comes up with here. Obligations taken care of for the moment. Your attention, or my attention, is all yours as Dimitri heads down the start-finish straight, barreling into Daichi. We'll see what kind of a lap the number 73 car puts together here. It is a nice, clean exit, though. Manages to use a little bit of the curve, keeping things within limit, and I'm expecting Coca-Cola to be handled like a pro, as those tires are probably at a decent temperature now. Going a little wide, as they probably could be warmer, but still carrying the pace, setting the tone. That first one sector was at 22.3 again, so we're seeing a very consistent sector one out of Dimitri. Where is that variation that sometimes gives him the high 38s as opposed to the low 38s? That is what Potato needs. It could be this turn right here. 300R isn't too hard, but Dunlop is a tricky one. You can lose a couple of tenths just off of a slight mistap at the throttle, but Dimitri's still showing pace as he sets a 36.8, well ahead of the cars trying to keep up behind. And you can see Dimitri goes a little bit off the typical line through nets, and it seems to give him a lot of advantage with the exit. Same thing with Pandasonic, gets off that line for a little bit and hammers his way into the start-finish straight. For those of you asking why, we're about to find out as he heads down that start-finish line. Is this the moment of truth? what can Dimitri show us to kick off the race today? So we're going to start things off with the 138.3. Borderline uncalled for. But that is an absolutely crazy lap from what I can only assume to be a man on a mission. Let's jump over now to Potato. Doesn't look like he was able to get a clean first lap in, or waited for some traffic, or heading out. We'll see if that was the right call. We now have a few more racers who have loaded into the grid. That should provide a little bit more competition. We are up to 15 currently, as the automated broadcast car will not be joining the actual event itself. Potato with a nice line through Dunlop corner. I'm not sure if they're on a hot lap or not. We'll kind of take a peek and see how things are looking as they work their way through. Starting time of 1:36, so waiting for a little bit of space on the track, manages to get out in front of Dimitri, who is not able to get faster than a 1:38.3 that time, but we'll see what happens. Potato now knows the gauntlet's been thrown down early, has a little less than 10 minutes remaining to make something happen, and there is going to be a weather change that can kind of mess up your lap a little bit as the clouds start to clear. Don't want to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Potato, though, doing a great job of keeping things together. Starts off with I can't even see what the Sector 1 time was, but at least it's in the green, as that looks to be a very awkward entrance into Dunlop corner. I don't think this is going to be the lap Potato's looking for. Hopefully one that can at least put him into the top 3 for now. Call it a banker lap. As he works his way through nets, hearing that Mercedes barely down behind him, that is a very tough thing to concentrate on as they work their way through the start-finish straight. So this is the moment. We'll see if Potato did have a little struggle at that corner, or if he can at least get it into the 139s here. We know that he's very capable of it. It looks like it's going to be a little close, but he does get that 139.7. He's got 4/10 that can be shaved off, and I bet he's going to do everything he can to find him. We'll jump on over with Hassan in the Z4, looking to do the same. Oh, and it actually looks like Hassan has a track cut in Sector 1, so we're going to let them finish that one up. We'll jump instead over to Pajeritas, who's on a little bit of a heater, trying to get into the 39s again, and doesn't find that time. There's a lot going on. It's hard to keep tabs on who is the man to beat, but the Raxo seems to be forcing his way through these final corners, currently with 2 red sectors under his belt, which is going to mean that I've been watching him cut the track. Oh, and speaking of cut the track, everybody's cutting the track here. Let's jump over to Microsoft Star, who does come up with a clean lap of a 1:47, at least putting a banker in. I guess the current bar for the top 10 is a 1:45.3, set by Rizzo. We are trying to make sure we give you guys the best and fastest of the laps. Potato does seem to be on a bit of a heater with some potential here, as Dimitri's still behind. I think Dimitri was hoping to get close enough to maybe take advantage of a slipstream, try and get into that 37, but Potato stayed out front just enough, and it's going to set a clean lap again. Oh, just well many people are still on mediums. Laces, impressively, on the mediums, but with a P9, currently racing a 143.9. Wonder if someone could throw him a setup with those saws on it. Laces can find another second or so, get competitive with Zeros up front. Ooh, and that is going to be an awkward line through. Potato knows it, as there's also a couple of cars trying to just find their way around the track. The Ferrari of Aramo managing to steer clear of Dimitri, who actually is on an outlap. How about that? Everybody seems to be just kind of moseying along here, which is shocking because there's only 5 minutes left. I do know that the temperature change, should there be one, was supposed to have happened by now. Let me take a look here. Yep, so we should be a little bit warmer on the track. So that could be why we're starting to see a slowdown on some of these times. The track's getting a little warmer, the tires are getting a little hotter. You only really have 2 laps in that prime window at this point in the evening. Jump over Maluki Dude, trying to get his way into the top 5s. Interestingly enough, only 1 racer's gotten back into 39 so far. So that 45 minutes really helped out, it seems, for a lot of these guys. But 5 minutes remaining could give them 2 or 3 laps, depending on what they have planned for their evening. So hopefully they're all still out on the track, pushing hard, looking for a way through. Firing on by, manages to find some time in sector 3, a lot of it. So if he can string together those first 2 sectors, we might have a battle here. Potato currently feeling a little bit comfortable in that Porsche, despite how uncomfortable it is to drive, according to the man himself. Joining now with Hassan, looking to set his first banker lap with only 4 minutes remaining. So really riding this one close to the edge. Hoping that number 34 car can swing it together. As sector 1 goes red with that 1 turn out wide. Hassan's going to be pushing to get back around and make something clean of it. Jump over to Pajeritis, who does seem to be on a clean one at least. Can he have a big sector 2? A little bit of an awkward wiggle into Dunlop, and that's going to cost a 10th or 2. So I'll say sector 2 is probably going to be orange. Ooh, right on pace, it seems. So not really gaining too much on their lap time, but staying with it. They need a very strong sector 3 again. Can they hang on? Get a little bit more time out of the car. Getting back into those 39s would be huge for anybody in that top 6 battle. Pajeritis does look like he has a chance. He's not going to be close enough to get any use out of that Ferrari in front, but he's driving like he's going to try. Maybe just a little bit. Every little touch helps. Can it pull him close enough? Dimitri with a fast sector 1. It does. He gets into the 39s within snapping distance of Potato, only a couple thousandths away. We'll jump over to Dimitri to see what he's going to do with this 36, with that 22.2 of a sector 1. So we see quite a few racers all over the place here. Oh, I had to click the wrong button. Gotta go back to Dimitri. Yeah, I'll get the hang of that as we go through here. Don't worry about that. But Dimitri's still pushing along here. 37.8 is going to keep him right teetering on the edge of a personal best. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. He was a couple hundredths away on the edge of that sector 2. We'll see if he brings it together now as he pits through this start finish line. So a minute and 37 seconds left. This is where things start to get interesting. This is where everyone's going to start to battle things out. Looking at the gaps all across the board, everyone has a little bit of competition to go through. let's jump our way through the field here and see who's got the potential to make something of it. So Potato on an outlet or on a heater lap. Looks like 20 seconds in, might not or probably will not have enough time to get another one. So this is a do or die lap for Potato. We also see 0 to Hero on 2 green sectors, Majoritas on 2 green sectors. This is going to be tight down to the end. Zabo starting to find his groove. We know that's another racer who can really move a car, and he is moving that Z4 around like a man possessed. Going to be looking to get into the mix there. He was 3 seconds off the pace prior. Potato, having a little bit of an issue with lap traffic. Going to be screaming at that one as the Raxo puts together an absolute beauty with a 1:39.555. Potato slowing things down a little bit in Net's corner. I think they're going to try and go for another run here, and they really won't have a choice as the grid is shaking up. Everybody is getting different times here. Everybody's finding improvement where it counts. We actually are going to jump over to Hassan, who seems to be striking for one more chance to find that 1:39, 0 to Hero, just shy of it, ahead. Doing this would get him into the top 5. I do see 0 is right behind him and is definitely making up some good pace. So it'll really fall to these final few corners. Hassan keeping things in the green through sector 2, goes for a wide line into Nets with that Z4. You can see 0 to Hero pushing behind, and who will come out victorious through Panasonic. This is going to be the last lap for both racers in qualifying here. Who will manage to go? It looks like 0 goes off, so it all comes down to Hassan. Do they find the improvement? 3/10 is what they're looking for. Just a 1:39 is all they want to see on the timing, and it's going to be close. And they don't get the 1:39, but they do get 0 to Hero. Takes off just a little bit and manages to get into P5. We'll see. It looks like Peter Zabo not on a heater of a lap. I lied. That goes in with a 1:40.2, so we'll move up the leaderboard, but not seeing any significant improvements. We'll jump over with High Sing now. He's looking to finish strong, put together a strong sector 1. Looks like maybe not a strong sector 3 as they go right into the pits. Not feeling it on this one, and that's going to be Zebras also not feeling it there. Do we have anybody feeling a hot lap? Well, I was just going to ask about Zachariah. So Zachariah does put one together right at the end to take P12 from Zephyros. The battle of the Z's ends with Zachariah on top, as we've got one hell of an interesting starting grid. So a 1:38.3 from Dimitri. No one would be able to get within a second. A second of his time, but they are able to get very close to one another. So from P2 all the way down to P8, we've got only 1 second separating that part of the pack. Throughout the rest of the grid, we've got tenths. So this is going to be very, very interesting, very tense, and it'll all come down to turn 1. I'm just kidding. Don't dive bomb in turn 1. These are the types of races, 2 20-minute races, one of them with a reverse grid, where a little bit of strategy is at play here. You want to wait things out, go the long way, just make sure you're within striking distance of a move, and just wait it out. Wait for your opportunity to actually take that move. There's no reason to end your race and someone else's in the first corners of the track. That time will come. Let the chaos unfold around you. That's the motto here at RRR, and that's really the secret that all of these guys up at the top class, that's how they've accelerated through the licensing systems, is just keeping their safety ratings clean on these tight, chaotic first turns to make sure that everybody's got a fair chance and that they can just power through and catch back up. So that's what it all comes down to. A little bit of overtime now, so we'll see where everyone ends up. So it looks like we're going to end up with 18 racers on the grid. That's going to be a fun one. Alright, let me grab my drone cam, a little sip of my Canada Dry. Not a sponsor, but one day. And we'll check out this grid. So it's a decent run up all the way into turn 1. That's quite a lot of speed for these GT3s to pick up. Some of them are much quicker off the line than others too, so that's going to be a nice advantage for a few of them. I think that Porsche has a fighting chance of getting the jump on the Mercedes, but Dimitri is a late breaker. It's going to be hard to get in front and stay in front before turn 1. And that's the name of the game for the Raxo. That's the name of the game for Potato. The Raxo actually is in the Audi, so that one, if he's found his bite point, that could be an interesting one as well. So let's see as the grid gets lined up here. I've got Dimitri in our sights. We then go down the pack with the Raxo, Potato, Geratis, Peter, Hassan, Zero to Hero, Arajo, Lukey Dude, Zero, Philip, Zachariah, Laces, Zebra, Hysing, Riza, Microsoft Sword, Doggy Fresh, Dimitri OSS, and Pausch. We have a minute to go until the lights. So let's check in on a few things weather-wise. Right now, we got 19 degrees out on the air and 25 on the track. That's what I was looking for. And we'll let everybody know that we are about to be underway. This is going to be a fun one here for us all to take part in, or at least to watch. I do see the RRR cam. Oh no, it is in the pits. I may have read that wrong, but let's take a look here from Dimitri's point of view. Oop, that's not gonna help. There we go, that'll help me out. With 15 seconds left, so the lights are getting ready to go, and you can hear these engines getting ready. Gonna take a quick look over at the tire choice. We do see softs up and down the field. Very interesting to see the RRR car out P6. But the lights are on and away we go. And a beautiful jump for Dimitri. All worries about those two behind him have gone out the window. The C car is getting a little bit defensive in the back as they know this long straightaway is going to get hairy. And we'll see who comes off as we go bowling. That's going to be a perfect strike for one of the racers. I unfortunately didn't get to see who, as Hassan gets clipped on his re-entry. He's going to be starting from the very back of the pack. We'll jump back further up with Dimitri to make sure everybody made it through some of these other corners okay. And as expected, we do have a little bit of chaos as someone gets turned into a Beyblade. I think that's going to be Lukey Dude. As multiple racers have gone off here, they are struggling to even get rejoins in safely as race 1 is officially underway. So we'll jump up to Dimitri, see how this worked out for him. Seems like pretty well actually for both of them, them being Dimitri and the Raxos, as look at this massive gap to the rest of the grid. Everybody's going to be doing serious climbing as we see more racers going off in the back. Some unsafe spins and rejoins as we got a few other guys getting turned off over there. So everybody's driving with a little to no caution in this middle and back of the pack as we see everybody getting caught up in these chaotic moments. That's High Sig, Doggy Fresh, and a few others who seems like we're in that final incident. But hopefully now that lap 2 is going to be underway, we can see some clean racing. We'll keep Dimitri's cam open, but first I want to jump over to Potato, who has found themselves all the way in P15. They got nobody behind them, so a lot of room to just focus and see what happens and unfolds in front. We are going to jump over to Hassan's point of view though for just a moment, because I think we're going to see some more chaos as Zephyrus and Pejoratus have a little bit of contact, some more contact as well with Philip and Laces. So that's Laces going back, and that's going to be Zephyrus who gets caught in that incident, and that'll at least let 11. So Potato now starting to get his legs underneath him. It's a 10-second gap from P3 to the two cars in front. So it's their race to lose. This will be a great start for the Raxons. We'll be 5 points away from Potato in the championship. Every point matters, and we'll definitely be looking to gain the advantage here. Potato not going to be happy with that start, but also going to be thinking about the reverse grid. It's not the worst place to be, especially if this is the way the grid is going to be. You know, middle of the pack finish here and a top finish there could mimic what his competitors end up doing, depending on their misfortune in race 2. We're watching Potato try and work his way through. I also see Araujo looking for some opportunities further ahead. So I'm trying to keep an eye on that as Potato officially in the top 10. I know there's a lot of battles going on, but this course has really just been weaving through excellently as we go now to a big battle on the straight. So let's see what happens here. That Ferrari definitely has the top speed on the Z4. Araujo's going to try and make something happen. 10 positions gained just by staying out of the madness from their qualifying position, and with a very late break is able to hang on to it through Daichi and take P6 away from Zachariah. So that's going to be a beautiful pass there. Potato managing to take P9 away from Philip in that fight, but Philip and the Ferrari not going to be looking to give that up just yet. 10 places up from looks like P20th to start the race. So not bad by Philip either. You see a little bit of contact. Peter Zabo and Lukey Dude just looks like bumping and grinding, nothing too crazy. Same, I believe, for Potato and Philip. Oh, I may have spoke too soon. Was that? Looks like, oh no, Zachariah may have gotten spun out in that, and Potato did end up gaining a position. I don't know if that's because Zachariah spun out or not. We may have bluffed that one prematurely, but we're not going to leave this three-way battle, as Lukey Dude currently going for the big dive and managing to pull it off on Microsoft Store. It's going to be in a position on a few other races. There's Potato, it looks like, went off the track, maybe had caused a collision, so it looks like they were slowing to try and let someone catch back up, but they weren't able to, so Potato has to get back on the hunt now in P11, looking to keep fighting. Dimitri just unmatched with a 138.7 on that last lap. Two beautiful final sectors. As we'll jump over to Asan, who's trying to get another position up, looking to get that move back on Araujo at the end of this straightaway. You'll see a late break, knows that they're pretty far and won't be able to actually make a move. I was hoping for something like that though, a late lunge from Araujo that locks him up. We see someone going way deep. That's going to be Zachariah, feeling the pressure of those cars behind, trying to just keep the pace and stay in front. Goes off, but manages to rejoin safely and loses a spot to Peter Zabo in the process. Jump over to Potato now, looking to make a move on Lukey Dude. Actually, I say that, but I think we're going to jump right back to High Sync, because I believe he's going to have an opportunity in just a moment's time. These guys are battling it out for P14, but it's a battle between the Audis as High Sync comes very close and is going to be able to make some sort of move through the hairpin, but elects to stay behind and keep within the draft for now. Will he be able to put that pressure on in these next few moments? Oh, and with the late break opportunity in front of him, it looks like High Sync's playing the long game, just trying to use this Audi to his advantage, follow him and follow the pace where he can. They are starting to have a little bit of company behind them, so I don't know how much longer they want to go slow about it. Someone's going to have to make the move eventually, as we see the rest of the grid starting to spread out just a little bit. This is the best opportunity that High Sync's going to have. These cars are matched in speed, but he'll have that draft to his advantage. Can he make the most of it as he hammers down on the throttle. But it doesn't look like he's going to be getting close enough. So we're going to jump over to the battle that's been going on over here. Mookie Dude and Potato. Potato still a little bit behind. It's very interesting to see where that patience is coming in, as Potato still has not even found a 140 on the board due to all the chaos that they found themselves wrapped up in. 73 cars having a rough race one, but that's why they have two races. And that 73 car is going to get by here, I believe, outside of 300R. It's going to be a late break into Dunlop or an early for a switchback. Potato looking to make the move later in the sector. We'll see how that pays to his advantage. As Sector 3 is a tough one to get by in. It's a lot of awkward corners. So just looking now at the gap to the leader, you can see Dimitri is very, very far ahead of most of the grid. I believe they may be, are they lapping someone right now? No, they're not, but they're getting close to that moment in time as we jump back to the battle between Potato and Mookie. Mookie trying to defend the inside, but Potato is there, and it gets a little bit nudgy. Gets a little bit nudgier. As Potato trying to move him over, it seems. Into that corner. An interesting moment between the two racers. Not entirely positive. We may have missed something on a prior lap there, but Potato now officially by and working their way up towards Zachariah. 38 seconds behind Dimitri, 32 seconds behind the Raxo. It's not looking great, but with 10 minutes left of the race and lap traffic always to come into play, you never know how things will shape up. We're going to jump a little bit more forward now to the pack slowly forming. This is P3 all the way to P7 on your screens now. Hassan hanging into the tail end of it. As we see the pressure starting to get to zero. Who's trying to hang on, but having a little bit of tough time hanging on to that Audi with the Ferrari all over the back of it. This is going to give Araujo a nice opportunity. As the pressure does finally crack, zero manages to go off. Going to try and use that draft and the speed of the Audi to his advantage and get right back into things here. Going to put a little bit of pressure on Hassan to try and make something happen into turn one. Hassan going defensive early, trying to stay on the inside. Looks like it was a little indecisive between the two of them, as they do have even braking points. That Z4 able to be a little bit smoother through the section. They'll be on zero to play catch up through Daichi. Do you see Potato may have had a little bit of contact with Zachariah? It's possibly bump drafting by the looks of things, actually. I think Potato now trying to use some MX-5 tactics to his advantage. See just keep getting the hang of and get away with these cars. You can do a little bit of bump drafting. They're a bit more fragile, but you can get that speed together and get moving. We'll jump over to Zero, who's still hanging on with that pack up to P3 as they all fight their way through. Ooh, and that is a very, very close maneuver there for Zeros as he pushes his way towards Hassan. He's not going to be able to make that move there. And we'll take a look at the pace between the four of them if I can maneuver that. Look at that. Looks like Hassan has been keeping it a little bit quicker through. So you can see almost by a full second each lap. So Hassan's really earned that gap that he's got up there. Zero and not going to be able to get any closer this time around. As we jump over to Hassan now, who is looking at that Ferrari getting further and further away. But the Ferrari is going to have to fight the other Zero, also known as the Hero, in just a moment's time, as there's a three-way battle for P3 happening right in front of us. us here. We do see Potato has gone into the pits, not entirely positive what the incident was that led up to that. And I do wish I could figure out how to get rid of the last 4 laps thing. Maybe it just goes away on its own, because most of these things seem to. Oh, as a little dive from Arau, trying to get the move on 0 to hero, but that is a heavy GTR. It's not going to be easy to just push him out of the way. So Pajeritas using this to his advantage to get about a second gap to these two. As this battle is going to cost them, someone's going to have to decide to either follow or power through as they work their way back through Dunlop Corner. And it looks like Araujo not willing to go peacefully. So they are going to fight here over these final through corners. They're going to end up getting into a dog race through that final or through the straightaway. And we'll see just how much that ends up giving Pajeras as an advantage. Everybody's tires are the same age, so that's not going to do too much good for either of them. I'm hoping after this next lap finishes that the stat will go away. You see Araujo going to the inside early. That GTR is quick. Wow, 0 really making some pace here. He's going to have the opportunity for a late dive if he takes it. Looks like he will. I wish I could get rid of these on command, but there you go. How about that? We're so good. Back to the battle. Araujo fighting with 0. These guys are going neck and neck again into the hairpin. It's going to be a couple laps of fighting here still. This is Pajeras, this is Dream. He's looking for that here as he is now 3 seconds away from them. And this is giving Hassan the perfect opportunity to catch up. We even see Zavo and 0 closing in from their previously 4-second gap. So Dunlop going to be a key moment for another switchback here, which seems to be the move of choice for both of these racers. 0 currently up 11 positions from where they started. Strong showing for the GTR as it lies, but that is not good enough for him. He wants every point he can. He knows this late in the season you want to stay ahead of anybody. You don't know who your competitors are. 0 has been in the rookie class for quite some time, but he is definitely not a rookie racer, so he could get bumped into one of these classes today, even at the end of race 1. You see Potato has withdrawn from the race as a whole, so will be taking today as a drop event. Hopefully that doesn't change too much in the standings for him, so we'll see what races are his lowest and go from there. Through Daichi though, it looks like 0 starting to fall off the pace a little bit as Araujo brings the fight to Pajeritas. He won out the side-by-side battle with the Ferrari. Can he do the same? Against the GTR, can he do the same against the other GTR? So he's having a little bit of deja vu as the black and pink GTR in front of him is not going to let him take this one easy either. Peter Zambo having a little bit of a fight with 0s to try and get by. Oh, and it looks like there was contact. Peter ends up going off, finds himself well behind, having to reset for the chase. Also take a look at the point of view of Rissa on the side of your screens there, as he is looking for an opportunity on Luki Dude ahead. And speaking of opportunities, this might be the best one Araujo had. He gets the run in, and we've seen him make this inside pass before, and it puts that GTR at just such an awkward spot through nets. So not able to keep the pressure as well as it was previously. Gets a little bit of a bump draft that will hurt him, but allow him to try and sweep the inside as that GTR goes deep and Ferrari will power on through. Now we know that GTR is a quick one. It's going to have the advantage of the slipstream as well. So this battle isn't over between them. We see Hassan and 0 looking to have their own fight into turn 1 a little bit further back. Here comes that GTR though, going to get fully out in front, so it has great advantage. Needs to make sure they keep up with a very late break point as the rubber banding kicks in. And things get a little bit hairy. Both racers going very wide as we don't see an attempt from Hassan further back. Looks like Rizza was able to get past Lukey Dude in Sector 3, so we'll use that to our advantage to try and keep an eye on both battles happening here. We don't see a lot of room for opportunity through 100R. It really comes down to your exit and this little fight into the hairpin. We see most racers electing to just keep it close and try and use a draft to their advantage. Hassan not liking that strategy, going for the dive on Zero. Zero will creep through using that speed of the Nissan. And we'll see 2 dives here. This is going to be interesting into Dunlop. So let's see who comes out on top. So between the both of them, Araujo looking to find his way through the GTR, not giving up easily. Hassan has a little bit more of an opportunity and will find it as Zero tries to save the race versus the place. And neither one of these battles is done. Araujo and Pajeritis fighting till the last breath. You can see Zero already plotting to get up in that draft range for this start-finish straight. We're going to see a big fight down into turn 1, but Araujo manages to break free. He is 8 tenths away. He's not going to have to worry about the draft of the GTR behind it, just that top speed, which will be a little bit of a breather. And this might let him run away with P3 and turn it into a 3-way battle for P4 behind, as Hassan coming in hot to turn 1, going to try and shut down that inside, and it works as he gets through beautifully on Pajeritis behind Araujo, getting on by as we see this grid coming up for this battle. I know these are not the only fights going on track, so I do apologize to some of the guys we aren't televising at the moment. But these 4 have been fighting tooth and nail for quite some time, and it's all going to come down to the next lap. That is correct. Dimitri is rounding the straightaway now, so he's going to be able to finish the one he's on, and it will all come down to what they do from here. Absolutely incredible pace by Dimitri, by the way. That 138.7 still is the fastest one he's had. As we get a little bit of contact between 2 of the GTRs, that's not going to be great for either one of their races, as it looks like Zero and Pajeritis are now out of the hunt for that P3. It's going to take an awkward line from the other 2. But Zero and Pajeritis, their GTR tires probably starting to hurt a little bit, given what's happening here in front of us. Or maybe it's just pure pace and grit from the 2 cars ahead. But we've got another battle to go. It looks like Philip also looking for a chance on Lukey Dude into Sector 3. So we'll try and keep an eye on those guys as well. So Zero's going to have the chance. Zambo or Pajeritis is already working his way into that inner braking and brakes real early, as I'm assuming Zero maybe thought it was the final lap. I'm not positive as to what we just saw. Maybe a connection issue? I don't know what we just witnessed there. I think Zero may have gotten confused as far. Oh, controller died. That is the worst timing for a controller to die, and that will end Zero's chance at a beautiful fight. Hopefully he can get back in, get that thing plugged in for race 2. We do see Pajeritis though hanging on to Hassan by a thread. This is the last lap. He's got half a second to go, less than, as Philip looking to get by Lukey Dude slightly further behind. So there's a couple of fights still left unfinished, and we'll see who's able to come out victorious. It's looking pretty good for Hassan through Dunlop, and that's going to be massive as the Z4 is able to carry through. It says Dimitri started 9th, so we're starting to guess that those positions weren't entirely correct. But Dimitri is our winner as he crosses the line in a solid P1. Looks like the Raxo will finish P2, and we'll see how the rest of the race wraps up in just a moment's time here. Things are looking rough for Pajeritis. He's not going to be able to make that pass, but you know who is? Philip, as he dives into Dunlop corner, putting them into a little side-by-side, not willing to give up the position that easy, although it was a hard-fought dive, knows it was the only opportunity that he had tried to make the most of it, just couldn't find it in the end. We'll take a look at Microsoft Store, who's diving in and completely cuts the corner to take the position away from Laces. Hopefully stops to allow Laces by. Not positive what we're witnessing here. As they now end up in P14. The curious things you see in sim racing. But on that note, we'll make our way over to the start finish to watch the rest of the drivers come through the grid. It was absolutely great racing all around. After, I would say, lap 2 is where things got pretty decent. And then the first 2 laps, on the other hand, might have been from a different category of racing. But, you know, things happen. That's why we have the ticket system. The new ticket system also on the website. You can link it to the race, tell us which lap, the whole 9. Potato's just a wizard. So if you're watching this back as you replay it to see if you can report a moment, you can. Just head on over to the website and you'll be able to take care of that. Asan was last after turn 1, actually. That's a great thing. You just pointed that out in chat. I see accusations of terrorism in the voice chat. Or the other one. I feel like the translation is incorrect. Alright, well, with the accusations of terrorism, we will be keeping an eye on some racers in race 2, just to make sure that everything is all good. Although it's a rookie server, we do expect somewhat cleanliness, if wherever it can be. I'm expecting to get some reports today. What are you gonna do? The NA grids have been a little bit cleaner, mostly because there's only been like 5 or 6 of us on there. So, you know, you guys are looking for a race tonight. It does start in about 6.5 hours time. Well, the event. The race itself is probably like 7.5 hours time. We'll be doing this exact same thing, but just on our NA servers. This week of the same event. You may ask yourself why we're still here. That's because race 2 is coming up with a reverse grid. So it'll be interesting to see who starts up front. Kind of go from there. Alright. Settling back in here. Let's catch up with the chat. See if anybody... Okay, so it looks like there may be some cuttings of the chicanes going on. So if that is the case, that's an easy one to spot and take care of. I believe I can just... do that. Yeah, I can give drive-through penalties. There you go. Just driving through the chicane will result in a drive-through, which I think is a fair tale as old as time. So, from top to bottom, we got High saying 0 to Hero, Microsoft Store, who will be keeping an eye on Pausch, Real Rookie Racing, thing. Lasses, Lucky Dude, Philip, Cesaro, Riza, Zabo, Jeritus, Arajo, the Raxo, Dimitri, Zepras, and I think all the way in the back there, who do we got? Anyone? That must be Zepras all the way in the back. So, gonna be a nice smaller grid here in race 2. We'll see what goes on as far as the terrorism goes and take it from there. That's right, we get live reports of terrorism here. It is just what it is. But enough about that. Underway we go. The lights are on. Everyone's getting ready. We do see the broadcast car has returned to pits. We have a little bit of a false start and a drive-through penalty from Lasses. We are going to kick the Microsoft car because it apparently just didn't go off the grid start at all and caused a lot of chaos here to start off lap 1. But thankfully, most of the cars were able to get moving. Who is all the way back here? That's going to be Arajo. It seems may have had the biggest issue with getting off the line. But they're thankfully out underway. So, not the best start, but we'll see what happens. As we've got Peter Zabo leading the pack here. Everybody sticking close together. So we'll hopefully have a little bit of a cleaner race here in race 2. We are going to just make sure that we keep this one clean, as we got a little pile up here with all the late braking points and differences in manufacture into Dunlop. We see, I want to say that's Lukey Dude spun out of the way to try and make sure not to cause too much chaos, as Arajo is going to be looking to use advantage of that, gets close up to the grid. Jump a little bit further along, we've got the Raxo making his way through pretty early. Same with Peter Zabo, who it seems has taken P1. Microsoft Store, who was kicked from the race for that exact reason. So that's going to be the Raxo who gets caught on that one. Hopefully not too bad on the suspension end of things, as we've got everything turned way down. And I mean, we can set up a vote to restart session for these guys, but I think at this point we're only like 2 minutes in. We'll kind of go from there. Something happened. Alright, we're gonna let it go. A race is a race. They all did survive the terrorism in the first race. They're gonna have to survive it through the first couple laps of the second race. At least we were able to take care of it. Ultimately, we did have to ban the GUID outright. So if you are a Microsoft Store and you're watching this, you'll have to reach out to have your GUID unbanned. But let's see what that did as far as the gaps to the leader. I think everything is a little bit screwed up at just the moment because of the Microsoft car joining and unjoining. So we'll give it just a second to shake itself out as everybody comes around for a lap 1 or 2. Jesus, it's only lap 2. That is terrible. Alright, so now you can take a good look here. So it looks like as far as where things ended up, Peter Zabo was up front. We got Zero to Hero, everybody tight together behind him. It looks like actually not too shabby, as most of the grid staying close by. I saw a lot of movement from these cars up front as everyone's trying to get a position. And that's going to be a late dive from the Audis, not able to get through as Heising. It almost takes Laces out with him, but Laces quick with the reaction time and able to get moving. The Raxo has been doing a phenomenal job. This race got caught with a little bit of chaos if you weren't watching, and that's where some of the issues stem from. So we'll see what ends up happening there. I know our live timings board is a little bit messed up, so why don't we do it like this? Show you just how far they are from each other as the Raxo already on the move. So jump up to Araujo, who we know is a dominant force in that Ferrari, starting from a little bit of an easier position here, this time through Dunlop Corner. We'll see if that makes things better for them. Oh, as a little bit of a wiggle happens for both cars. So that's lucky for Bjergis that the Ferrari struggled as well, as that was going to be the move. We've seen him take that inside line to his advantage numerous times, but he's also done this. Got his nose right into the back of the GTR, heading into Panasonic, and cuts that inside for a straight shootout. He knows the speed of that GTR, so hopefully he can use the draft to his advantage this time and maybe keep things straight. That GTR is weaving, trying not to give him too much of a drafting advantage. It's going to go down to the inside line and try and defend. Gets a little hairy with the rubber banding, but not anything intentional. As both cars go late into Daichi, it's going to be the GTR who comes out on top, though, still. So Araujo going to be pushing for that position wherever he can find it. As Dimitri getting closer and closer to zero. GTR gets pushed a little bit off, as we got some rubber banding that scares the daylights out of, I'm assuming, all three of us, myself, your broadcaster included. As we've got the hairpin as Araujo's other signature move in that Ferrari, and he does manage to get by. So that's a good spot for it. You don't want to be hanging by through sector 3. It's very tough to get a clean pass off without burning yourself some time. And that Ferrari is going to line up that inside to make sure he can stay in front through this next bit. So on to the next victim. It's Araujo hunting down zeros as we go a little bit further down the grid to see the Raxo and Lukey Dude battling things out. The Raxo needs to get by. Knows Potato's not in this race, so wants every position they can get. They don't know who else is going to end up in A-class, but it is possible Bjergis does, and it is possible Lukey Dude does. So wants to try and stay in front to the best of his ability. Peter with a 1:39.2 as the fastest lap of the race. We'll see what Dimitri puts up as he comes along off the line shortly after. And there it is, a 1:38.8. We do see Bjergis looking for a dive. We see Lukey Dude looking for a dive as well. Who is going to be able to pull one off? As it seems both racers have full commitment and go through with it. As Lukey Dude manages to get not one but two positions through turn 1. That's going to be a beautiful move for him, setting him up nicely for the back half of this race. Dimitri has pushed Philip into a little bit of a battle of his own, as we see some contact between the GTR, but nothing too crazy. Oh, as there ends up being a spin. So these guys are going to come up in just a moment on a spun out GTR, as Bjergis actually heads to the pit to avoid that contact. Dimitri looking for his fight in through the Dunlop corners on the side of your screen, as we stick with the Raxo trying to work his way through. Big diving moves for the Raxo through these corners. As he's not able to get by. I mean, this is a tough spot, but it's about the halfway point in the race. The Raxo needs to get by both of these cars and start hunting down the rest of the pack within this next lap. So he's got to make something happen, or it could be the end of his opportunity. Dimitri, on the other hand, getting within inches of Philip, gonna look for that inside lunge on the Ferrari and gets there before the braking point. So will likely have a chance to make that happen, and does, as it's an Audi shootout here down the start-finish straight. There's a little bit of an advantage for the Raxo with a slight draft, but they're going to have the same top speed. It comes down to who brakes later. It is the Raxo by about 50 meters. And that is going to be a beautiful move as he heads on towards his next victim of Lukey Dude. Dimitri for a moment, see just how well he's doing. It actually looks like I've got these three bunching back up again. Every time I go away from them, they want to stop by and see what they've got going on. It's the battle that never ends here in the fight for what's soon to be P7. I do see we've got P4 up to P3 very close and 0 to hero, starting to keep the pressure on Peter Szabo, who's relatively comfortable out in front as we see a beautiful pass from the Raxo into Dunlop corner. It's going to put him on an awkward line through, but thankfully that Ferrari needs to hug the inside as well, so we won't be able to put too much pressure on just yet. And the Raxo will be able to try and keep it wide and keep it clean through Ned's corner. It's a nice battle between the two as there's a little bit of contact and they're all trying to hug the same lines. Heising looking to get a nose in, slides out a little bit and will be well off the pace. Won't be able to join this fight down the straightaway. As we almost had a 3 wide into the start finish. The Raxo though going to use the slipstream to his advantage, pulling out to the inside now as they get alongside each other. And can he go for that late breaking point once more with the shattered windshield, no less? He is definitely fighting to work his way through. We can actually fly in for a second here and see how his wheel is on the straight. Does look like he might have a little bit of suspension damage that he's working through as well. So definitely some interesting lap times that we're seeing from a damaged car. A lot of grit and determination from that Audi as Philip looking to catch up to the Ferrari in front of Arajo. You can see Dimitri looking to catch up to 0 to hero, and a little bit of a wiggle from Arajo is going to be all Philip needed to apply a little bit of side-by-side pressure. He's going to try and look for a little bit of a move here now, and this is going to cost them both time. These are the kind of things that the Raxo is looking for with 8.5 minutes left in the session. Reminder, the Raxo coming back from what can only be described as sabotage from the disconnected car. Entirely positive what kept happening there with that one, but it was pure chaos. Down start, finish straight. Oh, it seems like I'm missing a little bit of action up front as Dimitri puts a nose in. And let's see, we might have a lap car in the mix, so that's going to make things a little bit interesting. I think that might be Zepras that we've got working his way through with these guys. It's going to be the two Mercedes. Maybe it would be nice to give this fellow Mercedes a little bit of a tow here. As Dimitri looking for a line through to catch back up to 0 to hero. Oh, and a little bit of contact on the lap traffic. Unfortunate as ever. As Dimitri was looking to get by. Heising, though, goes for the dive on the Ferrari, trying to take the move out of the Raxo's playbook. Sees a little bit of inspiration from his Audi compadre. Lucky Dude's been doing a good job of making these guys work for it. His pace is right there with them, so it's not an easy pass for these Audis. If they're determined to stay together, they're going to have to make something happen, but oh, he just closes the door a little too early. There's nowhere for Heising to go, and it leads to a little bit of contact. I don't think that was intentional by any party. I don't think that was anyone's fault. It was just an unfortunate moment in racing. So now we got a little bit of a gap here on the grid as we can kind of bounce around, check out the scenery. Peter Szabo feeling very comfortable with a 6-second lead. He has 6 minutes to go, and we'll take a look here at the overall live timings. Based on their fastest laps, it would take a massive miracle for Dimitri to make that gap close, but there's still P2 on the table for the Mercedes. And there's only one man that stands between him. So we'll see what 0 to hero is capable of. These guys are pushing the limits of that curve, just trying to keep it as close to the track as they can, just keeping it straight as Dimitri closes that gap down quick. Sector 1, clearly his strong suit as he goes through with a 22.5 to Zero's 22.7. Surprisingly, not the fastest Sector 1 we've seen, which is very interesting. 2C Pajeritis has left the race, so that's going to be big for some of these guys. We'll see where that puts them in the point spread, as do lose a lot of ELO for quitting a race. It is tough to work your way back from. Oh, as Dimitri looks to get a nose in through nets, not able to. Gonna have to reset and try and get into the drafting range here for the final corners. You see another tight battle going on at the back here. This is going to be Pausch looking to catch up to the Raxo. I think the Raxo had a little bit of a moment, but maybe Pausch had a little bit of a moment, but they managed to make it through. And that's going to be another position for the Raxo. So at this point, he is looking at a P6 potential. 20-second gap is a massive one between P6 and P5. There are a couple of limitations to what battles are left to unfold as we head through Coca-Cola Corner with Dimitri staring down the barrel of the GTR, trying to find a clever way through. But that GTR is as wide as they come. Zero is making sure to only give him a car's length on the track, no more than he is required to. Oh, and a little bit of contact there as both racers not expecting as close as they were. But this is all Araujo wanted. This puts that Ferrari back in contention for another podium finish, which is going to be huge for him if he can get by. And at that point, if he does, who is the odd man out? All three of these guys working tirelessly to get through and make this happen. You can see Philip in the background just watching this unfold as Araujo goes for a deep lunge, and that's going to cost Dimitri some time on Zero, especially when Araujo manages to get in front for a moment. So this is tough between all three. You can see Dimitri starting to get a little creative, starting to get desperate, and Araujo goes straight in for the bump draft, decides that's going to be the faster line for all of them so that he can get Dimitri in the slipstream of Zero. I don't know which one of these guys has the best chance right now. I do know both Zeros, though, are fighting for their lives to grab one final position here at the end, or at least hang on to it. And we do see Araujo going to have to reset as it comes back to a battle between the two. Zero doing a tremendous job of defending as we head into Coca-Cola. Dimitri getting close, knows what happened last time, so he's going to keep his nose out for now and try and wait for that hairpin. We'll see if he can get a moment in, as he already lines himself up with a ton of acceleration through there. His nose is already through before the braking point. He now is going to set the tone and try and push that GTR out wide. And they have a little bit of contact. So Dimitri with a heavy Mercedes managing to keep it on the track, but that is at the peril of the Ferrari. The Ferrari unfortunately gets caught in the crossfire of this big battle with the two. With only 2 minutes left, the Ferrari is going to withdraw from the event. Just a shame after the tight battle between them. Dimitri, though, is going to hold on to that spot as the Raxo passes Zeros a little further behind, gets P6, and is now looking at 15 seconds between him and the next car. I mean, it's always unfortunate when that kind of stuff ends up happening. You don't want that to be how races get settled, especially when there's only like a lap left after this one. I will say tonight's race, maybe it's a broadcaster's curse thing, but it has definitely been a little less clean than the ones that I've been seeing with the AI broadcast. I do apologize if my presence shifted some of the EU boys, but as we head into the final lap, it seems clear who's going to end up where. Peter Szabo with a beautiful start to the race, managed to avoid all of the chaos, ends up in in P1 with an 8-second gap to Dimitri, just looking to finish his race now. As we see Zero looking to get a little desperate, is going to create a last lap battle for the cameras as Pausch sees an opportunity open up. The Raxo, after all his peril, does manage to get back up to P5, which is one hell of a climb. Doesn't find Dimitri, doesn't find that top group he was looking for. It was just an unfortunate way to end things. Now, what does this say about our next challenger, Nords? I think it says that we are going to probably password protect the finales. Anyone who's a member of our servers will be able to, or like the community, will be able to get the password to join the races. But yeah, I don't know about full open lobbies for the finales after a race like today. But speaking of races, these are not finished yet. Heising going for a dive on Rizza in the Mercedes and manages to pass through right as Peter Szabo passes the line. And Pausch trying to stick within a drafting distance of Zero in front. I don't think he's going to get that chance. So we're going to jump on back to the battle that does seem to be shaping down to the final corner. Heising and Rizza battling it out for P8, a little bit of network coming into play, which is never fun as we get one car possibly getting pushed. It's a little hard to see what ended up happening there with the lag spikes, but they do battle it out to the end, actually, because I think if Rizza's got a clean enough line, that draft could help him out. Oh, but he's not staying in the draft range. And the lag on top of that, it seems to be a double whammy. So I don't think Rizza's going to get that one back. Heising will lock down P8, and Lukey Dude only a little bit behind, getting ready to finish the race and round us off. We'll see how things go as Lukey Dude gets moving. So, an interesting event here in Fuji. You know, I'm getting my thoughts together, so I was not saying too much, holding my tongue where the tongue could be held. It's a beautiful day at a beautiful track. It's a little unfortunate how some of the battles shaped out. I know we had some serious competition going, some serious head-to-heads, but it is how it goes, unfortunately. What is it? They don't think it'd be like it is, but it do. But a great race to all those who managed to make it through cleanly. Great climb backs from most of the grid there. And, well, we'll see you all for the next one.